Hello everybody, it's me, Elu, and as you can see, it's Bug Fables. Whoa! Anyway, it is Bug Fables' 3-year anniversary! Hooray! So I decided to make a random last-minute video. This is literally unscripted, and I'm just doing this literally the night before, and I have to wake up at like 5 a.m. in the morning. So, you know, whatever. But for Bug Fables' 3-year anniversary, I just want to randomly go over a bunch of random, fun facts and interesting development lore and stuff, because, frick, I love this game. So, yeah. Happy 3-year anniversary, Bug Fables, and here's some neat facts and stuff. Yay! Alright, let's get on with the video. Catch you guys in a bit. So, the first thing I want to mention is that the first Tumblr post on the Bug Fables dev Tumblr was posted on June 20th, 2016. This post showcases the path leading up to Snakemouth Den in some early concept art, as well as an early in-dev view of Bug Fables, which was kind of basically the map that was used in the 0.1 demo. Another interesting thing about this post is that it was tagged #BugThing, which is only seen on this Tumblr post and the one following it. So who knows, maybe that was just an early in-dev name for the project, or, maybe just a red herring, but interesting stuff nonetheless. Speaking of very early concept Bug Fables stuff, Bug Fables actually originated as a concept as a comic between 3 different people. We have Mar and Gino, who we all know are the 2 main devs of Bug Fables, as well as Oma, who was also one of their friends who kind of fell off the project when it started to transition into being a game. And it's very interesting. As far as I'm aware, there are only 3 publicly posted pages of this origin comic that they had. And so looking at the actual file extensions from when they were posted, the ones that we have are bug 0004, bug 0005, and bug 0013. So that pretty much implies that we have the 4th, 5th, and 13th panel of this little origin comic. I'm also going to show a few other interesting little art pieces. This one was from an early comic as well, drawn by Mar, and it shows that the mantises still had claws in comparison to their normal appendages they have in the final game, which is really interesting. This game nearly had a very, very different art style. So 0.1 was kind of more of a dry run for building up concepts, but 0.2 is actually where the rest of the game was built off of. So before they started with 0.2, they decided to have a stroll poll on their Tumblr on how they should go with their art style. And if we can actually kind of see the differences in the 3 that they kind of showcased. We have the original, there was a crayon, and then OG HD, which is actually what we ended up getting. There is a Wayback Machine archive of the stroll poll, fortunately. Unfortunately, stroll poll actually went down, so without Wayback Machine, this would have been lost forever. But if we look at the results as of November 4th, 2017, you can see that the OG HD art style won with 62 votes over Crayon with 53 votes. And OG, of course, being with the lowest amount of votes. But yeah, it is really interesting and definitely cool to think of on what the game would have looked like if we got that Crayon art style. Back in February of 2022, Mar showed off some in-dev assets that he would use for when he was planning out rooms and such while creating Bug Fables. And so I'm just going to show some of them off, or all of them off, I mean. So what we've got is this door to other map.png, which is obviously used to mark loading zones, a jump spring.png, which is pretty self-explanatory, locked door.png, and npc.png. So if you wanted to kind of get an idea, he would use these kind of icons to help orient himself while creating maps, which is really, really neat. So the save points were actually supposed to be very, very different. They were actually supposed to be giraffe weevils. There's actually an image of what this would have looked like, and Mar actually gave a little explanation on how these would have worked. So they'd have their necks folded up, and when you interacted with them, they'd raise up and flap their arms and wings. It was very interesting, and apparently the original animation is lost, so that sucks. But at least we have this image. One of the most iconic and definitely awesome things about Bug Fables is the really, really pretty promotional art. Drawn primarily by Giancarlo Soto, which I'm showing off a few of his pieces here. I hope I really didn't butcher his name, but sorry if I did. But, you know, he's drawn stuff like the limited run game's promotional cover art, as well as the key art for the team members, and some of the promotional art that was shown off for updates and such. Another really important one is the Defiant Root lift that goes up into the beehive. This is definitely the most iconic promotional art piece for Bug Fables, pretty much used as the header for everything. And a really interesting thing about this specific drawing in particular is that it's actually a redraw from an older art piece that Mar drew. So we can actually find it on the Tumblr here. And it's just really interesting seeing a different version, an older version of the same kind of positioning, but, you know, drawn by Mar. So it's really cool, and just another cool little tidbit. In some earlier versions of the game, Spooter was actually supposed to be just a full-on 3D entity. This seems to be it was sometime during 0.1, some very early development stuff. But it's very interesting looking at these images. There's 3 different pictures of 3D Spooter in total, each very different looking. And yeah, it's just a very interesting piece of development history. Have you ever found it a little weird how the Ant Kingdom has 3 different rooms that encircle the center? Have you ever wondered or thought that it just felt a little strange that it's 3? It just, you know, you're making a triangle. That doesn't sound the most right. Well, actually, there was actually supposed to be a 4th room that would encircled the center of the ant hill. Using this concept art that Mar showed, it shows that there was supposed to be another area known as the farms. I largely suspect that this farm area was kind of redundant with the introduction of the Golden Hills, and because again that is an agricultural area, so they probably decided to kind of get rid of that and just kind of focus on the 3 that we see in the final game. One very interesting tidbit was that Zasp was supposed to have electric powers. Actually, his name is based off of a combination between the word zap and wasp. So I guess it would be Zosp, but everyone just says Zasp anyway. Anyway, yeah, so he was supposed to have electric powers, and that's actually evidenced by the fact that in the 0.1 demo, he actually has electric needles. And so, yeah, Zasp has magic. Fun fact. Oh, wait, actually, I do have another fact about Zasp, is that Zasp and Samira were actually supposed to be a team together. I think this was before Mothivo was actually created, and Samira became her own separate character. But yeah, there's this really cute concept art of Zasp and Samira together as a team. One very interesting tidbit is about Team Maki, specifically Maki and Kina and their names. So in lore, their names have a very special meaning. So Maki is actually the ancient bug tongue for courage, and Kina is the meaning for shield. And this was mentioned in a Tumblr post back on March 18th, 2017. And it is a very interesting meaning to their names, and it kind of does show their personalities a bit, because, well, you know, Maki is courageous, and Kina kind of shields Maki all the time. And yeah, very interesting and neat stuff with meaning behind their names in Bugnish. Alright, well, that's the end of the video because I need to really sleep. And this was super impromptu. There's definitely a ton more that I could talk about with Bug Fables, but again, I don't have the time and I need to sleep or else I will die. So that would suck. But thank you everybody who stuck around and watched the video. Again, happy anniversary to Bug Fables. Thank you Gino for helping create the game, as well as Mar and everyone else who worked on the game. And yeah, I mean, I love Bug Fables. If you've stuck around the entire time, I'm going to put 3 Bug Fables codes, Steam codes, right there if I video edit everything correctly. So share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with your dog, share it with your cat, share it with a potato, share the Bug Fables with everybody, because it's the greatest game of all time. And you know, people should play Bug Fables. So again, 3 codes right there. Again, I don't know if this will come out nicely, but hopefully that looks well enough. And yeah, if you happen to be able to claim one of the codes and, you know, get someone else to play it, definitely comment below and let me know what you or your friends think. But again, play Bug Fables. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll catch you guys around in the next one. Bye bye.